Obama and the Democrats are admitting that their views are far too extreme for the American people ever to accept. So they do it by fiat. And Obama quietly takes advantage of the economic crisis to reward his political supporters and organizations, people and entities that would inflame the ire of the American people.
I don't believe it's too late to change course, but it will be if we don't take dramatic action as soon as possible.
That's what he said shortly after taking office in order to get a record-shattering $750 billion so-called stimulus bill passed. Moments after it made it through the Democrat-controlled Congress, that borrowed money was promptly doled out to labor unions and the extremist group ACORN, from which the president had once attempted to distance himself.
My relationship to ACORN is pretty straightforward. There is an ACORN organization in Chicago. They've been active as an elected official. I've had interactions with them, but they're not advising our campaign. We've got the best voter registration and turnout and volunteer operation in politics right now, and we don't need ACORN's help.
But other video revealed a much closer relationship.
And I definitely welcome ACORN's input. You don't have to ask me about that. I'm going to call you, even if you didn't ask me.
Other beneficiaries of stimulus funds included a known Marxist group that advocates the overthrow of the U.S. government.
The way change is going to happen in this country is through the destruction of what we call the United States of America, and we're not going to do it.
During the 2008 campaign, Obama pretended to turn his back on extremists from his past.
You want freedom? You're going to have to kill some crackers. You're going to have to kill some of their babies.
So, do we have any problems here, or what's going on? Everything okay?
Everything's fine.
I'm just making sure. I'm here, I'm just a media guy, and that's all I'm doing.
When the Obama Justice Department discovered that members of a group called the New Black Panther Party were found guilty of voter intimidation, Attorney General Eric Holder withdrew the prosecution. Democrats in Congress refused to investigate. With the economy falling apart, Obama offered no answers except to point the finger at the past administration.
After they drove the car into the ditch, made it as difficult as possible for us to pull it back, now they want the keys back. No!
The political fallout from the massive spending left clear the need for an explanation before the midterm elections. In an attempt to gin up support for Democrats, the Obama administration came up with the phrase recovery summer. And now, Democrats are hoping that Americans don't notice before going to the polls on November 2nd that unemployment went well over 9% and remains high to this day. Of the many divisive and unpopular Democrat initiatives, the so-called health insurance reform bill stood out as vastly unpopular with the American people. Ignoring the will of the people, they passed a bill allowing the federal government to take over 1/5 of the U.S. economy.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
The Democrat establishment attacked those who protested the health care bill. By this time, the majority of Americans saw Obama, Reid, and Pelosi as the leaders of a dangerous one-party government out of control. And establishment Democrats provided plenty of fuel for their distrust.
What good is reading the bill if it's 1,000 pages and you don't have 2 days and 2 lawyers to find out what it means after you read the bill?
I don't think you want me to waste my time to read every single word in that healthcare bill.
Madam Speaker, where specifically does the Constitution grant Congress the authority to enact an individual health insurance mandate?
Are you serious? Are you serious?
Yes, I am. Absolutely.
What provision in the Constitution could you point to give authority for the actions that have been taken by the Treasury since March of '08?
Oh, well, the Congress legislated in the Emergency Economic Stabilization Act a range of very important new authorities.
Sir, in the Constitution, what in the Constitution could you point to give authority to the Treasury, extraordinary actions that have been taken?
Every action that the Treasury and the Fed and the FDIC is been using authority granted by this body. By this body, the Congress.
And in the Constitution, what could you point to?
Under the laws of the land, of course.
Amidst the opposition and confusion over the health care reform process, the president continued to make the case for its necessity.
Certainly, I don't accept the idea that in the richest country on earth, we should have 47 million people without health insurance and millions more people who are being bankrupt because of a medical bill. From soup to nuts, we've got to reform this system. You know, we spend $2 trillion on health care every single year. We spend twice as much per capita as the next nearest country.
But much of what the president said about the current health care system was untrue.
Starting this year, insurance companies will be banned from dropping your coverage when you get sick. And they've been spending a lot of time weeding out people who are sick.
Actually, those practices ended more than 2 decades ago. According to state insurance commissioners and insurance experts nationwide, it has been illegal in all 50 states for more than 20 years to cancel a person's insurance coverage for getting sick. Also not true. The health insurance industry is the most regulated business in the nation, with government controls on all aspects, and has been for many years.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
Democrats have also sought to spend an unprecedented amount of money for other so-called crises, and all of their plans will be paid for with more taxes and more borrowing. President Obama has tried to push the punishing global warming cap-and-trade energy tax on America. Obama left no doubt about how his climate tax will work.
Under my plan of a cap-and-trade system, electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket.
This cap-and-trade scheme is a substantial energy tax that will cause trillions of dollars in economic damage and hit the poor and those on fixed incomes the hardest. Even Obama's own EPA admits the climate bill would not impact global CO2 levels, let alone temperatures. Why would Obama and the Democrats push a bill that they admit would not impact global CO2 levels? Democratic Senator Ben Cardin revealed the motivations for the climate bill.
According to the Washington Post, Senator Ben Cardin called cap and trade, quote, the most significant revenue-generating proposal of our time, unquote.
Despite the growing number of scientific scandals further discrediting man-made global warming claims, Obama refuses to allow facts to interrupt the narrative he has created. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi revealed to an audience in communist China how the fear of global warming would affect the lives of Americans.
The Associated Press reported Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi said we have so much room for improvement. Quote, every aspect of our lives must be subjected to an inventory. I'm Scott Wheeler from the National Republican Trust PAC, or GOPtrust.com, and I want to tell you that relief is on the way. With the resources you provide us, we have been able to implement our strategy of nationalizing all elections so that our independent expenditures benefit all conservatives. Our national and strategically targeted local ad campaigns have consistently delivered for the conservative cause, helping conservative candidates for governor in states like Virginia, New Jersey, and Texas fend off liberal opponents. The National Republican Trust PAC has provided a powerful voice during a critical time for the conservative cause. And when everyone else was cowering in the shadow of Obama's popularity, we wrote and published Shadow Government, What Obama Doesn't Want You to Know About His Czars. Our book brought great scrutiny to Obama's radical, unvetted appointees and continues to be the driving force behind new eye-opening revelations. In the last 2 years, the National Republican Trust has raised and spent more than $13 million to elect like-minded candidates and promote constitutional government. The opposition is well funded by billionaires like George Soros. We have you, and you will decide if we take back the country or not. We're the Republicans you can trust. So go to GOPtrust.com and join me and the National Republican Trust PAC as we stop the Reid-Pelosi-Obama assault. Please spread the word and this video far and wide. And with deep respect, I thank you.
Barack Obama has dozens of unelected and unaccountable czars working to execute his radical plans, to reshape America in their image. It's all revealed in Shadow Government, the powerful new book from the National Republican Trust. Authors Scott Wheeler and Peter Leitner take you into the world of Obama's new power elite and expose their radical agenda. Shadow Government. Learn more and order today at GOPtrust.com. The National Republican Trust PAC is responsible for the content of this message.
Obama and the Democrats think they can fool you into believing they're tough on Wall Street. It's what motivates their so-called Wall Street Reform Bill. But this is like a pro wrestling match where everything about the fight is fake, but the payday is real. It's all part of the show.
I did not run for office to be helping out a bunch of fat cat bankers on Wall Street.
But Democrats hope you won't notice that the vast bulk of Wall Street money goes to fund their campaigns, with nearly $1 million going straight to President Obama from Goldman Sachs executives who are under investigation by the SEC. Now, Obama and the Democrats are pretending to investigate their friends on Wall Street. We need a special prosecutor now to investigate the links between Wall Street banks, the Obama White House, and those who profited from the taxpayer-funded bailouts. For more information, go to GOPtrust.com. Paid for by the National Republican Trust PAC, which is responsible for the content of this message.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this film. If you are as alarmed as millions of other Americans, join your fellow citizens and go to GOPtrust.com for more information and a chance to get involved.
The National Republican Trust PAC is responsible for this message.